It is the second model introduced in the 2025 Shin Megami Tensei DeviKits collaboration, featuring the design of a Cerberus from the well-known series. This is DVC01, Cerbero Cool, with a completely brand new kit across the board of Max Napalm, Spot Napalm, Fire Napalm, multi-legs, and a brand new leg ability of Full Throttle, which buffs the power of equipped shooting skills if you're not attacked while you're in your heating phase. Now, the DeviKits collaboration with Medarot S in 2025 is most certainly off to a fantastic start, but given the type of effects that Cerbero Cool brings to the table, it is also very strongly implied that if you're going to be using Cerbero Cool, it may also be highly recommended that you also bring Makai Setsuna, the handler, onto the team and pair off Medarot number 3 with another ally to keep him protected or keep him healed at any given time. Max Napalm on the head part is a brand new skill which adds basically a new effect to Napalm to really spice things up. To explain, Max Napalm falls in the same vein as, say, like Max Shot or Max Vulcan, where it doubles damage if the part remains at 100% HP. And with a very strong base power at 1619, this scatter type skill, which will damage one part normally and then 2 others randomly for extra damage, is going to be extremely powerful and extraordinarily painful when Cerbero Cool gets to the field and actually uses it. And with a very high heating of mid 700s, there's going to be very little getting in his way when he gets to the front line to use this, especially as an opening move anytime the Robattle begins. Spot Napalm on the right arm is another brand new skill in the gunpowder category, which will be kind of a running joke and pattern with Cerbero Cool in general. But to explain, upon the current attack of Spot Napalm landing, the next attack that Cerbero Cool uses is guaranteed to be a critical hit, no ifs, ands, buts, period. So if you're able to land a fairly solid hit, and with a solid base power of a base success of 1196, you're going to be pretty hard pressed to actually miss unless they have a stupidly high evade. The next hit after Spot Napalm is guaranteed to be critical no matter what. And if you pair that off with Max Napalm immediately, well, that's going to be extremely painful no matter which way you look at it. However, that guaranteed crit is reliant on the effect of having that first attack land. If it doesn't, or if they graze, well, the next hit is not going to be critical, period. Left arm of Fire Napalm is another brand new skill, which simply put is the scatter effect of a gunpowder skill Napalm, but also inflicts a fire DOT status on the target in question. So think of it kind of like how Meteor works, but without the damage effect or setting self on fire. So it is still going to be a very good effect, especially to inflict the DOT and guarantee that passive whittling down of HP over time will make it a whole lot easier for Cerbero Cool's scatter effects to really start shredding through a lot of armor quickly. It is also worth noting that not only is the scatter effect really good for damaging multiple parts at once, or even potentially flushing out enemy leaders if it damages the head part, but they also shred through shields. So if any kind of any kind of shield that comes up that is not, say, Zetai Guard or a counter that's designed to nullify it, it will eat 3 charges of the shield's guard stance instead of only 1. Which means that it's a whole lot easier for Cerbero Cool to also brute force a lot of shields that are standing in his way, not even touching on the kind of power that he's bringing to the table. Multi-legs means that Cerbero Cool will also have fairly decent coverage on most terrains, typically trading a little bit of mobility for a little better bulk or terrain compatibility. But in the case of Cerbero Cool, that doesn't exactly seem to be the case. With a base mobility of 913, it's off to a very solid start in the speed department without any outside assistance necessary, such as terrain bonus or meta rodder. You don't have to worry too much about having to compensate for a low stat. An evade of 1051 is kind of in that middle ground where you want to be in, so not exactly dodging everything that comes your way, but the chance is there if you're not hit with it, if you don't have a cooldown penalty you have to pay attention to. A melee resist of 828 is a little on the lighter end though, as this does mean that anything it does get in this Cerberus' space is going to be moderately painful. And a shoot resist of 1117 does comp that just a little bit, so it does make it a little easier for him to exchange pot shots from afar than it is anything getting in his space. In the armor department though, this Cerberus type however is fairly bulky, with a head armor of just shy of 4200, right arm just over 4,000, left arm almost 4,000, and legs almost 4,100, so fairly healthy in the HP department, despite the fairly squishy resist stats that Cerbero Cool does bring to the table. However, with the kind of power that he is bringing between Max Napalm, Spot Napalm, and Fire Napalm, even with all of them being scatter effects, it does move a lot of the damage and the high DPS value that Cerbero Cool does bring to the table. All this being said though, as a pure set score, I honestly have to rate Cerbero Cool a fairly solid 8 out of 10. Even though he does excel very, very obviously in the scatter type category, a lot of you might be wondering, but why doesn't he have Assault then, which is a damage plus to scatter skills relative to the combined resist, which is a good point. However, Full Throttle does buff his power even higher if he's not touched in heating, which will add even more of an incentive to the allied team to put a defender on the team and keep this dog as protected as possible. Plus, if you compare Cerbero Cool with Makai Setsuna, you'll find that these two are an absolute bread and butter pair with what they bring to the table. He is triple shooting, he is triple scatter effect, and he also gets passive heating and cooling buffs, which he already is really good at by himself, with not a single heating stat under mid 700s, and with the exception of his head part, his heating is high 700s to low 800s, so he's going to be running back and forth extremely quickly and firing off a lot of stuff very consistently. However, given that all three of his parts are gunpowder, it does mean anything that is trying to use a gunpowder guard, or a Zetai guard, or something similar, will basically negate every reason why he's there to begin with. As mixed parts, I do have to rate him equally at an 8 out of 10 for these same reasons. While you can certainly use a triple napalm gunpowder kit like Cerbero Cool very, very easily, you can also mix it up just a little bit more based on how you choose to use it. Given that Full Throttle is not specific to any kind of added effect, as long as it's a shooting skill, you can benefit from using that basically anywhere. And given that Max Napalm has double damage on full HP, that is going to be a fantastic opener in a lot of high-end PvP matches, where usually the first strike will guarantee how the rest of the outcome will land.